Look, I haven't done this as it looks like, but if you can change this and you can go up and you can refresh display, and it's showing you now, it's going to show you only if I took every option over 80%. Look at the percentage change. So if I only took options over 80%, I actually have an 84% win rate. Out of 187 predictions it made, it got 157 of them correct. Hi everyone, Crooks here from Ace Trading. Today I'm here to give you a bit of a how-to in using our AFL Sports Bot. Okay, the first thing you want to do is head over to our website. And our website is acesportsbots.com. Okay, when you're at this website, you'll find a bit of information at the start, so have a bit of a read. It's really important that you take this tool and use it as an educational tool. Okay, we're not endorsing anything but educational here, but use it as you wish. Okay, we are crunching the numbers, we are doing all the background work, and so that you can just use it as a tool for your, for your betting and anything you'd like to do. The first thing you want to do is you want to register. Okay, so register by putting in your username, email, and password. Once you've done that, it'll ask you to log in. Okay, we will log in. So let's just create a new login. So let's just go in and create. Obviously, I've got my admin. Let's just create something here. We'll go Adam K. And obviously I'm going to put in Adam K at whatever my email would be, okay? And then I'm just going to put in Adam K for now, just so we can register, okay? Ideally, obviously, you want to use your own, hard to choose passwords, your real email, because we will be sending out updates and things like that, but this will register us into the website, and you can see that we have been able to register. We can log in, okay? It's asking, do I want to save that? Which I would generally say yes. So I'm going to log in with Adam K and my password. And we are now on our way. Okay, the next thing we want to do once we get past all our save points, okay, is we want to make sure that we agree to our important information. So there are legal age verifications, risk notifications, things like that. Just obviously you need to do this just once, okay, just that we can save it in our database, and then you won't need to see that again, okay? And then you'll find that we have all our bots. Okay, so we have, we're going to be having an NBA one, an EPL one, a PGA, NFL, Major League Baseball, all different ones. But for now, you can see the one that's active is our AFL bot. We'll click on that. We are having a sale, or it's not really just a sale, we're just giving it away for free. Free 2025 season. Okay, so later on, we may have prices, unsure yet on prices and that kind of stuff, but we will get our free access. This is all the demo mode at the moment, so we will just continue with that purchase. Don't need to put anything in. And you are pretty much away. It's going to load in, it's going to check your authentication and go forward, right? There are some Easter eggs in this website that I put in there personally, and they're quite funny for people if they can find them. I'm not going to tell you where they are, but obviously have a bit of a play around and see them. There's a lot of functionality in this website, but the two main things that I really want to show you is, I guess there's three things, but they kind of align, is obviously the live predictions and our showcase. Okay, the showcase is going to show you how the bot is performing week to week. Okay. Know that AFL betting is difficult. Any prediction-based models are difficult to do. Okay, when we're focusing on AFL, we are taking massive amounts of data. And when I mean massive amounts, I've created a database that collects it continuously from 150 different sources. Okay, websites, information. It all gets uploaded. It gets uploaded daily. And I'll be putting out a bit of a schedule when all that kind of information comes out. And then what happens is the AI analyzes that, does its predictions, and then it kind of has a conversation with itself to keep improving. Okay, looks at our previous results, how it's performed. So if it made a prediction, it will learn from that, and it will say, hey, I got that right, hey, I got that wrong. What was wrong with that? Was it the weather? Was it the positioning of the player? Was it their height? Was it the days between games? Was it the distance they traveled? So many different key things. Okay, maybe it was time on ground. It'll ensemble it, put it all together, and create this really cool model that will predict. Okay, in the prediction model I'll talk about in a second. And then I've actually had a few people, experts, look over the data and say, hey, this is really cool, and said there are a few changes that we can make in the future, but for now, it's pretty much doing everything we want it to do. Okay, so it is very cutting edge. There's a lot of information here about us as Ace Trading. Okay, but AI is out there. It's some of it's open source, some of it's paid AI, but the tools are out there, and we learned how to use them, and now we're going to try to use them and support you guys in, I guess, helping with your AFL journey. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, I guess, is look at the up and coming. Okay, so up and coming is going to show you the games for this round. Okay, these get updated during the week. Okay, I train the models weekly, and it's on a bit of a schedule. I'll train those models. You can see it's admin only, and then what happens is, as time progresses, you will see games get updated, and you'll see props get updated. Okay, currently, right now, it's the Collingwood and Gold Coast games being played. But I'm going to go through some stats on that, so then you can obviously check and see how they went. But let's talk through the page. So this is the AI prediction. I will be training the models weekly. I'll be training everything. It looks at so many types of data, and I will give you a bit of an insight into that. If you click up the top here under the methodology, it tells you exactly what are we doing to train our models for the matches. So our match data, so our match odds. We're doing 4 different types of models in this. Okay, a recent model, a seasonal model, a historical model, a meta model, which combines all 3 and learns off itself. Okay, it looks at team strength, power rankings, ladder positioning. It looks at current form, last 5 games, key players coming in, venues, head-to-head, injuries, weather. It takes in so much data, more data than the average person can take on board when making these decisions. Okay, and it's making them and then setting a prediction. It's giving you a percent based upon that. Okay, so if I look at the prediction, it's saying that Collingwood, even though Collingwood's not having a great game from right now, is a 77% win based on historical data and all that kind of stuff. But last night, it predicted Brisbane, and Brisbane won. Okay, you can see the recent form. These are the odds taken from a number of different bookmaker sites. These are the odds, and so it's saying this is the favourite, and as you go down, you can see all the different favourites. Sometimes it's pretty close, okay, and it's hard to pick. Sometimes you get a real clear winner. Okay, look at this one, Sydney. It's only Sydney over St Kilda. And then look at this. It's going 92.5% for Port Adelaide to beat West Coast. And you can kind of see the form, and you can go into a bit more detail on that. What you can also do is you can also click on details. And if you pull up the details, it's telling you, obviously, give it a couple of seconds to load, the game information, where it is. So it's obviously remembering that information. It's learning that information. It's checking the weather at that particular ground, the wind speed, if it's played outside, whatever, all that kind of information. It's looking at the offensive, defensive rating, the win percent for that particular team at that ground, okay, and how they've been traveling this month. And obviously, it does a bit of an equation in that. It looks at the current injuries, so you can see the current injuries for the players, and you can see how long they're out for. And if any of these players are key injuries, okay, it'll take that into account, and then it'll make its prediction, right? So sometimes if you can't find your player predictions, sometimes just choosing matches, yeah, it's always a gamble, but you know what? There's a decent prediction here that you can actually take into account when making your educational decision. I think one of the key things to remember is that this is a tool, and it's giving you statistics, it's giving you confidence, and it's giving you accurate confidence. So what you do is, if you take your own knowledge of the game, your own knowledge of betting or whatever, and you combine it with that, it's a deadly combination that you can use. Okay, but now let's look at the props. So if you click on the view player props, it'll pull up after a couple of seconds. You can see here it pulls up all the players that have player odds. Props is proposition, so it's all about player odds. It's a term that's been around for a while. And you can see here, this is ranked to become the highest confidence all the way down to the lowest confidence. Okay, something not happening. And it does that because these particular players were given goals total of 2+. So Jared Witz was given that by a bookmaker, and so it has to create a statistic or confidence on that. That's why it's there. Okay, I thought it's good to put them all on there. You can sort by teams. Okay. Obviously, all is pretty cool. You can actually click on players. You can sort by player names. You can sort by there's all different kind of stuff. You can sort by season averages. You can sort by lines, odds, all that kind of stuff. What people tend to focus on is your disposals over. Okay, there are disposals over and under, but we all know that because bookmakers don't want to just throw money away. What they're going to do is they're going to look at the same type of data that we're looking at, and they're going to put their lines very close to the season average of the player and say, okay, is this, and then what the bot's doing, it's taking into account all its information, and it's predicting a particular value. So it's going to say that Daniel Rioli is actually going to get X amount of disposals, and then based upon that, is it going to be over or under the line? It's 18, and I actually know right now he's actually over that, I'm pretty sure. So that was a great win, $1.85, and it's got a high percent, 84%. Some of them, when they're too close to call, it's obviously quite close, and I probably wouldn't choose these. So if you're making a multi, I'm not going to give you advice, but my personal thing would just maybe just one or two of these, and I tend to focus my time in the disposals. Okay, and then disposals, you have a lot more, I guess, at your disposal. Okay, so you can see all the different players. So let's just pull up Collingwood, and you can see here, and you can see some different lines. So these are the lines given by our bookmakers. I'm going to touch base on a bit about Sports Bet, because Sports Bet is what a lot of people are using, and Sports Bet have just brought in choose your own lines, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, but if we go down here, you can see it's giving a 99% for Harry Perryman to hit 10 disposals, and I think he just did that, so that was a great win. You can see there's Dan Houston, $1.45. You can also sort by season averages, so you can pull up, I guess, the more consistent performers, so kind of the midfielders and things like that. So you can see Nick Dacos and Josh Dacos. They don't have those 9.5, 14.5 lines, because bookmakers aren't going to give you that just to give you money. Okay, so they start theirs a bit higher, and you can see these are quite high. These are like $1.13 to hit 24.5. He's averaging 20, close to 30 disposals a game, and he's only had one game, the second last game, where he didn't reach that 25. So that's a good probably bet. Okay, but you can go down and you can choose multiples. Like there's a 75% for Dan Houston to hit that. That's a touch and go. I probably just use my own understanding of that player, and maybe there's a reason why I did that. The bot would have a reason. Maybe it's to do with that particular ground, maybe it's to do with that particular team, but maybe Harry Houston does perform quite well. I don't know that. I don't have the information. The bot is doing all that for me. Okay. So let's make a couple of bets. I really like Jamie Elliott getting 10 disposals. He averages 12. He didn't have a great couple of times, but let's just pick him. So what happens is when you pick one of the odds, it pulls up an ace betting slip over here. So it's just going to track everything I want. I'm obviously going to choose maybe $1.13 is pretty good for Nick Dacos. I'm going to head back to all, and I'm going to put it. I like the 9.5s. 9.5s are quick in a game, and I know Harry Perryman's $1.16 is a really good odd. He's consistently getting over 10 points a game, so I'm going to put him in there. I would say 3 kind of bets is pretty good for a multi. For me, I'm not a massive gambler. I do some light bets, and I would say 3 is pretty good. And those odds, $1.82, I'm pretty happy with that. Stick $20 on that, and I'm pretty happy with that. But some people like to build up their multis, so a good thing to do is come down and go, okay, look at this player here, averaging 11. See there's a couple in there. The bot is actually saying there's 87%. Not bad. Pretty good odds. Do I want to roll the dice and do that? You can stick that in there, and it will obviously increase the odds. You can take these off. Maybe you want to stick a goal in. Okay. Maybe you want to add in a goal and go, Jamie, it's going to kick 2. So I'm going to put that on there for 2. And you can see my odds are improving. Maybe I want to do first and last. These are really hard to predict. So that's obviously, there is a bit of prediction, but these are based upon, there's like 38% based upon, it's looking at where they are positioned on the ground, who they are as a person, their height, their contested positions inside 50 or whatever it may be. It's looking at everything, and that's why it's making these bets. Sometimes there's marks available and tackles available, but sometimes there isn't, so it'll come soon if it's updated. But that is how I build my multis. If I was not, so there's a couple here. Let's pull up Collingwood, and let's average our teams back. Let's pull up here and let's look at Nick Dacos. Maybe I think he's going to hit more than 25. He's averaging 29. Maybe I'm looking maybe 26. What is the odds for 26? What I can actually do is I can actually click on Nick Dacos, and what it'll do, it'll pull up the score. So pretty much this is a bell-shaped curve. It's a normal distribution, okay, but it's using a standard deviation that the bot has created. But it's also based upon the actual prediction and the line or the number of disposals that the bot predicts that Nick Dacos is going to get. And the bot is saying he'll get, that's what it predicts, 30.7. That's what the bot reckons. The bot reckons he'll get 30.7, and with a 94% confidence. So he's pretty confident that he's going to get that, which is pretty close to the average, but that's what it's saying. So if you look along here, I can actually move this ball, and actually move along here, and you can see the line change. So it's saying 23 disposals. So maybe I chose, what did I choose? I chose 24.5, so 25 disposals here, which is pretty good. I could actually go bring it up, maybe 26 or whatever, and I could say, what is that over and under? What am I going to get? Do I think he's going to get 34? The bot is saying, no, there's not a great chance, but it's there. So you can actually see these lines likely over. These are all different lines that bookmakers are giving. So you can look at that. You can look at season averages, the average for the last 5 games, and so forth, and the confidence. So this is like an extra aspect that you can actually play around with, figure out, do you want to modify it even more? And you can close that down and pull that up, and that is how we pick our multis. And once you've done that, pretty much what you want to do is you want to close that off. You want to leave that up, and then you want to head over to Sportsbet, and you want to pull up the game. So I can't actually pull up the game at the moment because the game, Collingwood actually came back, which is really surprising. But you click on the game. So I'll just click on another game, for example. Let's just click on the Bulldogs game. When you're in Sportsbet, you can click on anything, but we're going to focus on disposals, and this is where you can see players, and you can choose your own lines and so forth. And you can say 19, or maybe it was 24.5, so you can click on their player, and you click on that, it'll build the multi as long as you have same game multi selected. Okay, so I was choosing single bets there, which I don't want to do. Okay, so I'll put those in the bin. I want to make sure that I've got my multi on, and I want to go across here, and I want to select a multi. So maybe that for Bailey to get that many disposals, and this player to get Edwards to get that many disposals. It adds it to a betting slip the same way mine does. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to look for Jamie Elliott, go over here, choose Jamie Elliott for 9.5 disposals, and I want to go Nick Dacos. I want to do 24.5 disposals, choose that and go forth, choose those in, add to the betting slip, and away we go. And for Sportsbet, I'm not endorsing Sportsbet at all. It's just that it's probably the one that most people use. Feel free to use any, and I guess that's a lot of fun involved in that. It gives you this is really cool, and you can actually delete players off. You can change it around. If you click place bet, it's actually just going to open up Sportsbet, because that's all we kind of use, and you can get an idea. If I just chose Jamie like that and put $10 on, that's what I'll return. If I put $100 on and so forth, just gives you a bit of an idea. It'll keep it up there. It'll remember it for you. You can also check out next week's predictions. Obviously, these will probably change based upon injuries and performance and things like that. So keep that in mind. But this is the upcoming games. This is where I guess all of your time will probably be spent. The one thing I didn't talk about is I spoke a bit about match odds, but if you wanted to check out the details in the player props, there are a lot of details. Okay, we're using a bit of a regression. I've actually added in a couple of more models into that, which has improved the results a lot. You can kind of see the key features, safety checks, goal predictions, mark predictions, tackles, how AI uses 150 different types per prediction. So clearances, hit outs, it uses injuries, key positioning, absences. Like, it's amazing what it does. And it does it probably, I would say, for me to run an analysis. So once I put all the data in and I've collected it all, so collecting it all probably takes half an hour. And then to train the model, it probably takes about half an hour, 40 minutes to do that. So I'll probably put it on a bit of a schedule once we get a bit more regular, and you'll be able to see when I'm doing that. Probably put a timer on here so you can see when the new data is coming in. But say, for example, you don't know how to start building your multis. Head over to Pick of the Match. Okay, Pick of the Match is a great spot. What the AI model is doing is saying, okay, you choose to start with what kind of percentage do you want your bets to have? Okay, you don't really care what kind of percent, or maybe you want to have anything above 60%. We'll just put it on 70%. You can do that. It gives you an idea of what you can do. What it'll do is when you click one of these buttons, let's look at, we've just looked at Collingwood and Gold Coast. Let's look at Western Bulldogs and Adelaide. If you press generate multi-pick, what it'll do is it'll give you some good starting points. Okay, it's saying these are pretty good starting points. It's saying pay attention to Rory, pay attention to Josh for those particular lines, because they're paying a decent price for great predictions. It's not going to give you like $1.03 or anything like super low. It's not going to give you a low percentage unless you choose a low percentage. Okay, so they're great starters. You can stick that on right now and just put on your $25 and get $31 back. Great, you could do that. And if you like that, and you like these two, this was a good one for you, vote for it. What it's going to do is I'm going to start collecting these votes, and then the more people we have using this system, I'm going to put the most popular selections up the top. Okay, there is the biggest payout. So these ones here are the best value and the best value pretty much. It's pretty much the highest percent for the best value. And these are a lot of disposals and stuff, and you can choose those. Look at that, it's paying 38. I don't actually know if that is a great one, but you might want to start with that and modify it. Okay, 24 that I have no idea. I have no idea, but that's a decent bet. It's not a bad stick $1 on that, you make $38, not bad. And then AI's choice. AI's doing the combination of all of them and saying, okay, I don't want to have too little. I still want it to be a decent bet. I don't want to have just the highest confidence that aren't paying much. I probably want to have something that's going to get me a bit of bang for buck. Okay, and the AI is choosing those and forming it, and I would just then select those and put them in, go back to my upcoming games and put them into a multi. Okay, it's all there for every single game. You can click on any of them, it'll load them. If you change this up here, okay, make sure it'll load the new percent, say 80%, and it'll go from there. All right. The next thing I want to talk a bit about, and the last bit, is Showcase. And Showcase was a bit of fun creating. Showcase is a kind of our bot tracker or our performance reviewer. What it's actually doing is it's looking back over the rounds and seeing how well it performed and what were some of the big wins. Okay, so up the top, best of round 17, which was last round, it's saying if you had chosen Dylan Stevens at under 17 disposals, that was a really good bet. Okay, it's showing you a really good multi you could have chosen, or maybe an overall multi across games. So you could have chosen the Cats versus Richmond. Harry Perriman's there. He's actually performing each week. Yeah, the West Coast doing there, a few others, and you can see you can actually get a nice multi at that. It's also showing you every single multi option, so every single player prop and match outcome for over 70%. Okay, so currently, if we just we're taking every single bet or every single choice over 70%. We're just taking it no matter what. There's a 77.8% win rate, which is phenomenal. Okay, I looked it up, and a lot of bots out there only have around 60%. 65% is actually the standard for the market. So if we can improve that, and my aim is to improve that, yeah, we'll definitely have something going here. If I was to choose something a bit higher, we can actually look. I haven't done this to see what it looks like, but if you can change this and you can go up and you can refresh display, and it's showing you now, it's going to show you only if I took every option over 80%. Look at the percentage change. So if I only took options over 80%, I actually have an 84% win rate. Out of 187 predictions it made, it got 157 of them correct. I actually had a really interesting discussion with someone on TikTok, and who was talking a bit about they prefer to go the long ones, just choose the massive ones and go, okay, I want to choose like $1.03. Probably they're going for like larger $2 bets, and I'm like, great, you might hit one of those once a season, but if you combine $1.14 with $1.22 with something else that's of reasonable value, I'm not going to say go for like the $3s, but look at that $1.27. They're decent. Put them together into a nice little multi, you're going to get a really good return at a really high percent, okay, of confidence. And you can see here some of the top winning bets. If you want to see the overall performance, okay, we are slowly improving. Okay, I've only been running this for a few weeks, and we've got a 68% because each week I have actually improved the bot. I've done a lot of man hours behind the scenes and improved the bot so that we can actually get our results up. I'm predicting to be improving, and I want to see this go up over time. You can also see some hot streaks, so you can see who's actually on fire. So you can see, for example, Josh Battle has had 2+ marks for 16 games straight, and that is actually an odds you can choose. Okay, Paddy Cripps has been over 15 disposals for the last 16 games. Okay, so this is probably even a spot you might even want to start at. You might even want to come here and go, let's look at some elite performers and go, actually, I really want to have Matt Kennedy in my 15+ disposals. I'm going to add that in. This is also really good for a multi across the round. So you can just choose a lot of these players. Yes, they're probably not going to have great odds because they have been performing quite well, but they're not going to be terrible. I reckon some of these are going to be a decent an odds up here. Okay, and if you scroll down, you can see some others on fire, hot streaks and warming up and so forth. What the bot is doing is the bot is tracking that for us, so we can keep that, and at the end of the season we can do that. And at the end of the season we will just take everyone's feedback and we will make this so much better for next season. Yeah, and I just see this growing bigger and bigger and bigger. There's a few, as I said, a few Easter eggs in here, so please have a bit of a play around. Please touch every button, push everything, and just see how it works. If you have questions, I highly recommend joining our Facebook group. I'll put the link into the description of this video. So please join the Facebook group. That is where we're going to be sharing our bets and our successes and our failures and all that kind of stuff and what challenges we're having, but also provide feedback. That is something that, yeah, I think is super important. That's how I'm getting better results because people are giving me feedback. Okay, so when we go back to all bots, you will see it comes back to the start, and ideally in the future you'll be able to go, okay, I've done my AFL bets, let's go do some NBA bets, let's stick on a multi on NBA, or maybe I'm interested in baseball, NFL, and so forth. Put on some multis and have some fun with it. But I just wanted to thank everyone for their support so far. It's been really exciting. Remember, this is just a trial. This is a tool, and this is a free trial for everyone. I just want you to have fun with it, have a play with it, and give me some feedback. But other than that, enjoy your day and happy betting. And I'm going to go check my outcome for those ones.